Hi, welcome to our YouTube channel. Today's query is write a SQL query to generate a list of phones in comma separated that each user can afford based on the below criteria. Display the output in ascending order of the username. There is a 26-20 rule for determining whether one can afford to buy a phone or not. The rule for affordability have three conditions: having enough savings to cover a 20% down payment, utilizing a maximum 6-month EMI plan for the remaining cost. Monthly EMI should not exceed 20% of one's monthly salary. To write this query, we have two tables: phones and users. In the phones, we have cost and phone name. In the users, we have username, monthly salary, and savings. Let's write the query. Here we have two tables and we want data from both the tables. So for this, we need to join the tables. Here I am using the cross join. When we go for cross join is every record in one table joins with every other record in another table. Here I am going for cross join because for each users we have to check all the phones and see whether they can afford a bit or not. Now I'll write the cross join and show you how the output comes. Select star from users, cross join phones. And here we no need to write any condition because each row from one table joins with each other row in the other table. Now I'll show the output for this. See, each row from the user table has joined with each other row from the phones table. Now we have to filter the data based on the conditions given in the question. So what is the first condition here? The saving should be greater than 20% of the down payment. So savings greater than or equals to 20% of down payment. How we find the 20% of the phone cost? Cost into point. This is the 20%. So the saving should be greater than the 20% of down payment. And next, what is the next filter is utilizing maximum 6-month EMI plan for the remaining cost. So how we find the remaining cost of the phone? See, this is the 20% of the phone cost. How we find the remaining cost? 80% of the phone cost. That is cost into 0.8. This is the remaining cost. And monthly EMI we have to find. So for the 6-month EMI plan, so divided by 6. This is the monthly EMIs for 6 months. And what is the next filter we have to do here is 20%. Monthly EMI should not exceed 20% of one's monthly salary. So here we have to find the 20% of users' monthly salary. So monthly salary into 0.2. This is the user's monthly salary, 20% monthly salary. This should be greater than or equals to the 6 months EMI for the remaining cost. Let's run this and see how we are getting the output. So Rahul can afford iPhone 12 and OnePlus 12. Vivek can afford OnePlus 12. Now let's go back to the question again. Here we don't want all the columns. We want only the username and their phones in the comma separated way. So we want username. Next, we want the phones which they can afford in the comma separated ways. To do that, I am using a function string aggregation. String aggregation, phone name in comma separated. I am naming this as affordable phones. So the whole data we are grouping on username and sorting the data on username. Let's run the query. So we got username and their affordable phones in the comma separated way. Let's solve another query. Write a SQL query to determine the transaction date with the lowest average order value among all the dates recorded in the transaction table. Display the transaction date and its lowest average order value and the difference between the lowest average order value and the highest average order value from the whole data set. To write this query, we have a table transaction where we have order ID, user ID, transaction amount, transaction date. The output expected here is we want to find the one transaction date which has the lowest average order value, and also we have to display the difference between the lowest AOV and the highest AOV. Let's write the query. Here we are writing the query using CTE. CTEs. Select. We want transaction date. Transaction date. Next, we want to find the average order value. For that, I am using the function average. Average of transaction amount. I am naming this as AOV from transaction table. Whole data we are grouping on transaction date. Group by transaction date. Let's write our main query. Select. We want to display transaction date. Next, we want to display the lowest average order value. So AOV from CTE. To display the lowest AOV, I'm just sorting the whole data on AOV in ascending order so that the lowest AOV on that will be on the top. Order by AOV ascending. Let's run the query and I'll show the output. So we have the lowest AOV on the top. And also we have to display the difference between the highest AOV and the lowest AOV. To find the highest AOV for the whole table, I am using the window function. Max of AOV over whole table. From this, we have to subtract the AOV. I am naming this as difference AOV. Here, we want only one transaction date. So, top one. Let's run the query. So, we got the required output where we got the transaction date which has lowest order value and its difference. Thank you.